What's up, everybody? This is Uncle D. Look, man, I'm coming at you guys, and I want to talk to you about a very hot topic. I want to talk about this whole notion that Black women are the least protected group of people in the United States. I disagree with that. I think that Black men are actually the least protected group of people in the United States. This comes up because I had a gentleman call in last night, and he basically was chiming in, and I hear this a lot from men when we begin to talk about how some of the things that we had to go through as young men, as boys, it came about because of something that one of our mothers or aunties or sisters or girlfriends or baby mamas did. Typically, those are going to be Black women. And mentioning Black someone's bad behavior, some negative thing that happened to you, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not picking on somebody. That's not bashing anybody. But what a lot of times what these folks will do, these men especially do, they'll come in and say, well, Black women are the least protected group of people in America. This is a quote that came from Malcolm X. I believe it was in the 1950s. And he was the one that came up with this quote. And he's the one that said that. And I think at this point, 70 years later, it's out of date. So, this is what we're going to be talking about tonight. I promise you, I'm not going to make any friends tonight. I'm sure there's going to be people angry with me. But defending black men and talking about issues that affect black men and speaking the truth about black men is not something that is going to make you any friends. But we'll be back when the show officially starts. So you guys make sure you get the likes up. I'll be right back. Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks. All right, I'm back. So check this out. When people say black women are the least protected group of people in America, I would have to agree that back in the 1950s, that was true. But as of now where we are right now in this year, when people say that to me, what comes to mind is affirmative action, Section 8, welfare, double minority status, their ability to simply call the police and report some activity of a black man, whether it be true or false, and have him arrested. The child support system, the family law system, their preference for governmental jobs, and also the university enrollment, something they're proud to say that they're the most educated group of people in America. That's what comes to mind. Now, when you talk about black men, something else comes to mind. But as far as those other things, there are programs set aside for black women. There are programs set aside to uplift black women that are in place specifically that benefit black women. They have power over the home because child support and typically preference to custody. They have somewhere to live. Section 8 welfare puts money in their pocket. They have it. Name something that actually a program that actually benefits black men en masse. Name any program that actually comes out and benefits that specifically targets black men and benefits them. There was that My Brother's Keeper program that Barack Obama at least talked about but didn't fund, and nothing ever came of it. What do we have? What do we as black men have? And some of you will say, well, what about the basketball scholarships and football scholarships that these athletes get? Well, here's the thing. Those same universities, those SEC universities, the universities on the West Coast, East Coast, they make millions of dollars a year from those athletes. And collectively, they make billions of dollars and have made billions of dollars on those college athletes. In exchange for what? Not the type of education that they can actually do something with, especially if they don't perform on the football fields or the basketball courts or the baseball fields. So, in matter of fact, a lot of the black students that attend those universities wouldn't be there if it wasn't for those black athletes, because, of course, the programs understand and those schools have done research and know that if they don't have a certain number of black athletes at those universities, if they don't have a certain number of black students at those universities, then those black athletes won't be there. So that's a wash. The university benefits tremendously from these black bodies. So you have to call that what it is. In actuality, when I think about black men and who's the least protected, we don't get protection as children. We are more, look at the statistics. The stats show that women are the biggest abusers of children. And in a situation like that, black men are subject to all that. Black boys especially, black girls too, but we're talking about black boys here. So they're subject to that. How many black boys got put out the house at 16 years old by their moms? How many of them? How many of them were berated and disrespected? Let me give you some. I mean, when I think about least protected, I think about reputation. I think about crime. I think about harassment. I think about being maligned in the media. I think about black men who on television shows and movies, and they always portray us as buffoons, clowns, sexual deviants. And now, not only are we sexually promiscuous as straight men, but also deviants as gay and thugs and criminals. These are the roles that we play in the media. And here's the other thing: we're underrepresented for our good deeds and overrepresented for our transgressions. Here we are, considered the best fathers in America, according to a study by the CDC in 2015. But we're still considered deadbeat dads on him. When you think deadbeat dad, you don't think white men, you don't think Latino men, you don't think Asian men, you think black men. We're told that what? We're told that we don't going to want to get married, but yet we have a higher rate of marriage than African American women, our counterparts. Fatherhood. We're deadbeat dads. All of us have these kids. 51% of black men don't even have children. 31% of black men are married. That's 82%. That leaves only 18% of black men who are married, who aren't married and have children. And of that 18%, remember what I said, the 2015 CDC report says what? It says we're the most involved fathers. So when we're underrepresented for our good deeds and overrepresented for our bad deeds, we're said we're poor and we're all Pookie and Ray Ray types. Well, the statistics show that 57% of black men are in the middle class. Why isn't that represented? It's because we're not protected. Our reputation is not protected. It's maligned on purpose. Yeah. We have more millionaires than any other group of people in this country. Yeah, largely because of our athletes, but also because of our entertainers and also because of our entrepreneurs. And then speaking of athletes and entertainers, they're targeted. Our public figures are targeted. They're targeted for public disgrace, vilification, incarceration. Look at Cuba Gooding, Bill Cosby, James Brown, Bobby Brown, Chris Brown. Am I telling you a lie? When I tell you that I believe the black men are the least, in 2020, black men are the least protected group of people in America. Tell me where the lie is. Even our own mothers, female family members, they emasculate us and humiliate us as little boys, calling us itch-ass ninjas and punk ass ninjas and all these other horrible names. And then when they leave off, our girlfriends pick up, our wives pick up from there. And they do the same thing. We have to constantly prove our masculinity, causing us to be hyper-masculine, which oftentimes leads us astray and causes us to do stupid things because we have to prove that we're men. Our voices are purposely silenced, underrepresented, even in matters that concern us. You don't believe me? Look at Black Lives Matter. Go to their website. Who do they advocate on behalf of? Not people like George Floyd, who this whole movement that recently passed, his death was brought about that. But instead of trying to help black men, there's so many, too many to name, who are killed at the hands of police officers, innocent men. They take the money and do other stuff with it. They just basically use our black bodies. They use our black male bodies to benefit themselves, and nobody's standing up for it. We watched that man die a horrible death, having a blood choke, which is where they cut the blood off to your circulation. Anybody who studies jiu-jitsu knows that they cut the circulation of blood off to your brain. So your brain slowly starves to death. You're starved of oxygen. That's what that is. So, when people say that black women are the least protected group of people in America, it may have been true in the 1950s when Malcolm X was giving that sermon. But in 2020, it's black men. So look, fellas, that's where I'm at. You may disagree with me, but I don't want to dwell on that. I just believe I accept it as a truism. You guys want to come in and chime in, but the thing that we do on this page is we build, we figure out answers. And I have some answers on how we become, how we begin to protect ourselves. What we have to do as men, as Black men, to protect ourselves, to protect our reputation, to protect our lives, to protect our wealth, to protect our athletes and our entertainers and their reputations, to make sure we're no longer targeted, to make sure that when we are targeted for public disgrace and these other things, those groups who seek to target us and disgrace us, they have to pay a penalty. That's what I think we need to do as Black men to protect ourselves, because nobody else is going to come protect us. Hell, matter of fact, brothers, you know, one thing I didn't mention, even in the protection racket, at least Black women have us to protect them. They have us to come protect them. But we don't have anybody to come protect us from ourselves. So, you know, fellas, you know, when they start woofing that rhetoric and repeating all these things that these old elders used to say back in the day, you know, you have to really think with that. You have to think with that. Why are they saying that? And Cortez Smith said Black men were always the most unprotected and disrespected. Yeah, also disrespected. All those things I mentioned, it falls into the category of disrespect. Look, we got 55 people in the chat room. We have 35 likes. Let's get the likes up. I know you guys appreciate this. You've never heard anybody speak up on behalf of Black men and say it how it really is. Nobody does that because nobody's here for us except us. And I'm the only person that I know that's willing to just lay it all out there like that, not somebody on my level. You see, I have a reputation, I have a career, but that's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is speaking the truth and speaking up and being a good advocate on behalf of my Black brothers. Number one, because I'm a Black man. Number two, three, and four, because I have 3 Black sons that I love. And I hope that what I put out there in the world will come back to us. If not me, to my family, to my sons, and to the children I intend to have in the future. So what I'm saying is, brother, we have got to come together and think collectively on how we go about changing this reputation and also protecting ourselves, the things that we can do. I have some ideas. I'm going to put the link in the chat room, and I want to talk to you brothers about my ideas. And I want to hear your ideas because your ideas are as important to me as my ideas. That's what this platform is about. It's about Black men speaking up on behalf of themselves, lessons that we learn from each other. Because there's nothing as powerful as when brothers get together and begin to speak up for ourselves. See, we've been taught to sit around and wait. No, what we've been taught to do is sit around and take it like men, take it like a man, and be quiet and don't say anything. And we've done that for years, but nothing has changed our condition until the condition of Black men changes. Nothing in the Black community will change. It will continue to deteriorate. Get the likes up. We got 55 people in the chat room, 39 people. Make sure you share and like this. This is going to be a good one. The chat is open. The call line is open. You can join in by clicking on this. The StreamYard.com link. Come on in. Let's have this conversation. Here's the thing, brothers. What I think we need to do as men, as far as our reputation, and we can take it, we can break it down by category. What we need to do as men is we need to begin to speak up on behalf of our Black brothers. I don't care who it is. See, we need to begin to defend ourselves in public. I don't care what the accusation is. Because what happens is when they vilify one Black man, he is symbolic of all of us. When they crucify Bill Cosby for something that's not even a crime, that's symbolic of all of us. When they relitigate a case like O.J. Simpson's case over and over and over again for 25 years, that's impugning our credibility and our humanity over and over again. And at some point, we as black men need to step up and say, you know what, enough is enough. Now, Ado said we need our own defamation league. Yeah, we do. But we need to be our own individual defamation protectors. You at this point, with the rise of social media, what you can do anytime somebody disparages black men, you jump on the internet and you make sure you respond to that foolishness. You make sure you have something positive to say, or you make an exception for that black man, or you give a reason why he may be innocent or why the media is overdoing it. Because I guarantee you, the dominant society does that. They don't let you just vilify even their worst criminals. Think about Bonnie and Clyde, Al Capone, uh, Jesse James and the James gang. As far as you know, those people are heroes, and these were stone cold-blooded killers. But they take the same people who had done some of the most heinous acts, and they imbue them with certain heroism and certain characteristics of heroes. But yet we, as black people, we don't protect our own. Matter of fact, we pile on, especially black men. How many of you all call Chris Brown a simp? Oh, he hit me out. He was a bad person. And I'm not advocating. I'm definitely not advocating hitting women. But what I'm saying is the boy was a teenager and she was the same age, and they were fighting in the car on the way from some award ceremony, from what I recall. She bit him, he hit her. She might have bit him first or scratched him up, and he responded. Why couldn't you say that instead of saying, oh, he shouldn't be doing it? Why couldn't you say that? Why couldn't you speak up on behalf of that young black man? Why do we still vilify him? We talk about Bobby Brown. We talk about his issue with, illegal drugs. Look at all these other white artists who have issues with drugs. Matter of fact, a large swath of the United States is having issues with drugs. Now we're in a situation where we can call it what? A sickness, right? We're comfortable saying that now. But when it's a black man who has a problem, y'all remember the crack epidemic, if it's black people who had a problem, it's a crime. You see how the dominant society does that? We should take some lessons from that. I wish you brothers would begin to go out of your way to defend black men like you attack black men, like you've been trained to do. You got to cut that out. That's one of the main things. We play a part in our own demise. If you don't have anything good, as the old saying goes, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything, especially when it comes to your own. Because see, as you talk about another black man, you're talking about yourself. You're hurting yourself, brothers. You may think you're getting some brownie points by talking bad about another black man, but you're not. You think you're sounding good to the sisters that you're trying to pray. Yeah, he shouldn't have said that. He was wrong. He was insensitive. Case in point, Kevin Samuels. Everybody knows this situation. A young lady called his business, called his live a few weeks, I guess maybe a week ago. She asked him for his honest opinion on how he would rate her. He is a image consultant. He's not a dating coach. He's not a matchmaker. He's an image consultant. In other words, he's looking at what he's seeing and he's telling you what I see. He's no different than an art critic. This is what I'm looking at. This is what this looks like to me. So he gave this young woman his honest opinion. And she, based on what she said, he said, are you a 5? She said she was a 5. And she said, well, 5. He said a 5 is average. Makes sense to me. Average 1 to 10, you're a 5. That's in the middle. You average. Great. I think it's below average, but it's average. I'm not a image consultant. It's average, right? And people got mad at him for saying that. And then they even got more mad and said, well, he was cussing because he got tired of telling the woman what she asked him to tell her. She didn't want to hear it. But see, that's not what I want to talk about. When he said what he said and he asserted himself, people attacked him. Oh, he must be, hit him with the G word. Rhymes with day, starts with G. He must be gay. How many black men have we tried to attack and malign when they say something? Why are black men always silenced? They tried to say Malcolm X was gay. They trying to say Martin Luther King was a womanizer. They always have something negative to say. They always have. They say the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a chauvinist. Why is it that when black men speak up and assert themselves, why is it LeVar Ball? He's a chauvinist. This black man who's put 3 of his sons into the NBA. I don't get that. Well, I do get it. I understand why. But why is it that black men will pile on with that? Why is it that when a black man stands up and speaks, we always tear him down? Shout out to Kevin Samuels, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing, brother. And I know those of us who seek the truth and appreciate honesty and honest debate, we appreciate what you're doing too. But why is it that we allow this? That's the better question. Why is it that we allow others to tear down our brothers who are speaking the truth? Martin Luther King died one of the most hated men in America. Look at the polls from that time. We destroyed him right along with them. You know what they said? He was a rebel rouser. He was a troublemaker. That's what they said about the Honorable Dr. Martin Luther King, the one who has streets named after himself all around this country. Now, of course, you know, 50 years later, they clean him up, dust him off, change what his image is, and units use it on their behalf. He's safe now. So now we have nothing but good things to say about him. Until now, they're coming up with this whole notion that he's a woman. He was a womanizer. He cheated on his wife. That's the same thing you're saying about Bill Cosby, and because of whom many black folks went to the university, the black colleges that exist. Him in that show, A Different World. I'm just saying, family, why do we let them attack our own black men? Why do we jump on and pile on and attack other black men? If you would like to join into this stream, come on in. We're coming up with ideas we should use to protect ourselves. I think brothers should do that. I think we are our own first and only line of defense. We cannot expect any help from anybody else. I don't think we should. I don't think we're going to get any special programs to benefit black men. I don't think that's something that's going to happen. I think that what's going to happen is, I think that folks are just really just comfortable with seeing us fall apart and die. That's what I think. And so in a situation like that, what do? We got to protect ourselves. We are all we have. We're all we have, brothers. And you guys got to understand that. And when you take it seriously, like I do, then, you know, things will change. But as long as you don't, it won't. So what I'm saying, brothers, look, what we have to do is we have to begin to take these threats seriously, because, see, as long as they talk bad about us and we allow it to happen, our reputation is going to still go downhill. And our reputation is tied to our well-being in this country. See, when a cop pulls up on a black man, what he sees is a threat. And why does he see a threat? He might not even know any black folks, but why does he see a threat? He sees a threat because, well, hell, he's been watching television. He's been watching all these shows out here, and these shows are saying, you know, they're either bumbling fools, they're thugs, they're criminals. That's what these television shows are saying. You see, that's what these movies are saying. That's what all this is saying. So what are these cops supposed to think? Yeah, of course, there's some racism wrapped in there, but, you know, they're racist against Asian people, Arabs, and all that, but they're not shooting them down in the street. They see us as a threat. And that's the logic behind this. And folks don't really get that part. So what do? We have to begin to protect ourselves. Your life, the life you saved may be your own. If you brothers want to chime in, man, come on in. Let's have this conversation. And I want to give a shout out to, let me see here. Thank you, Rudolph Anderson. I appreciate the cash out. Vernon Chapman, what's up? We consider public, he says, we consider public enemy number one. 808 says, we need our own definition, our own defamation league. Let me see what else. Vernon Chapman says, we are abused by our mothers and our girlfriends and our wives. Well, what do we do about it, brother? Of course, a situation like child, we need to bring that to light. And we shouldn't have people who have a problem. There should be nobody who has a problem with us speaking the truth about our experience and what's happening to us. Anybody who does that is not a friend. We got 58 people in here. We got 83 likes. We got 58 people in the chat room. We got 58 likes. I need you guys to get the likes up. You know, this is an uncomfortable conversation. I have uncomfortable conversation. But we're here on this page. What we're doing is we're trying to save ourselves. You know, SYSBM, save yourself, black men. To me, it doesn't just mean flying overseas, going to hang out and party. That's not what that means to me. It means a lot more to me. Save yourself, black man, means, black man, you have to save yourself from all these things that you're dealing with. You can't save yourself and not save your sons, because your sons are part of yourself. So you can't do that. So whether you like it or not, you're stuck. And then you're going to leave your sons. You're going to save your sons and not save your nephews. Are you going to save your sons and not save your uncles and your fathers and your cousins? That wouldn't be the right thing to do. That wouldn't be what a black man does, in my opinion, brothers. So what we have to do, brothers, is we have to think collectively. How do we begin to make sure that we are protected? Our reputation, our bodies, our wealth, our sons, our daughters also, because they're also part of us. Saving yourself is a lot more to me than just getting a passport and going overseas, in my opinion. Now, if you don't have sons, fine. You're just gonna leave your brother over here. You're gonna leave your cousins. I don't know. That's on you, I guess. But here's what I need y'all to do, man. And thank you, Sage Apprentice. You said joining this show already in progress. Uncle D is spitting the hot fire. And I do it because I love you, brothers. And I mean that. I love you like I love myself. We as black men are all we have. And we have to teach each other. We have to lift each other up. We have to guide each other. We have to give each other the benefit of our wisdom. That's why I'm here. I'm here to provide a platform for you brothers to speak, for us to learn from ourselves. We share our collective wisdom. This is why I'm here. If you want to join in the live stream, I will put the link to the chat. I'll put the link in the chat room. And I'm going to say, please join in if you'd like to add in. So we can talk about how do we protect ourselves. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think about Bill Cosby's situation. And I may have repeated this on another show. But here's the thing. Bill Cosby is worth over $300 million. He knew that district attorney up in Pennsylvania was gunning for him. The man ran his campaign on, I'm going to get Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby knew that. He knew what was going on, and somebody should have told him what was going on. What Bill Cosby should have done is he should have figured out who that man was running against in the primaries and fund as many people as he could in the primaries that was running against that district attorney there in Pennsylvania that ended up incarcerated. And he should have done the same thing with those judges. He could have used his money to help protect himself. Now, would it have worked? I don't know, but here's what I'm telling you. Oftentimes, the candidate that's most funded, the candidate that has the best commercial campaign, he could have come up with it. He could have had a PAC set aside, and it wouldn't have cost him more than about $300,000 or $400,000 on a local election like that. You can finance an entire judge's election for about $30,000, and you can do the same more or less for a in a second, third-rate city like that for less than $200,000. He could have financed the district attorney's campaign, or the candidate that he supported for district attorney, and this whole problem would have never happened. But he wasn't thinking like that. He wasn't thinking offensive like that. He was thinking, oh, well, I did this civil deposition, and they may be able to use against me, but we already have an agreement. He counted on his lawyers, okay, who were relying on these these normal rules. But as we know, oftentimes the rules of law that apply to to black people are a lot more stringent, especially black men are a lot more stringent than those that apply to others. And I hate to say that. I got it. I'm a lawyer, but I'm just being honest with you guys. Sometimes, well, I'm gonna tell you like this: justice is not blind; she sees the color of your skin. And here's the other thing: the media was on a witch hunt looking for him. So what could he have done? What he could have done is he could have called his media contacts, called the people he know, and put out some op-eds about different things. He could have hired an entire regiment of people to constantly bombard the internet with positive facts about Bill Cosby and fighting against those horrible things that they were saying about him. That's what Bill Cosby could have done, but he didn't. He didn't finance the district attorney to run against he didn't finance a candidate for district attorney to run against the man who eventually prosecuted him twice and put him in jail. He didn't do that. He's not doing it now, from what I understand. There's no media campaign. There's no media blitz, no social media blitz. This is not like this is not like the 1960s, 50s when they only had 3 channels. We have social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. You flood the airways with positive messaging about yourself. You have people set up to combat what's being said. You got a $400 million war chest, man. You can do all that for $1 million covertly. But he wasn't thinking protection. You have to be the first person to step up and be willing to protect yourself at all costs, brothers. Bill Cosby, that's an example of him not being protected. And here's the other thing. We as black folks should have chimed in. Nobody should have had anything bad to say about Bill Cosby. Nobody should have. That's unfortunate. Sage Apprentice, what's up, bro? Welcome in. How you doing today?
Let me mute you real quick. I got YouTube going.
Okay. We'll let Sage Apprentice get his mute together. He's
all right, Mr. Sperling, can you hear me?
I can hear you great, man. Welcome. Thank you so much. I appreciate having you in. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. So tonight I'm talking. Let me see.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I said I appreciate you giving us a platform to speak. We often don't get a chance to, like in most public spaces.
Yeah, I know. And see, the thing about my platform is that because I've been on, major networks, and I'm a lawyer and I have television shows and these sort of things, I know people are watching, and so what it means is your voice is amplified. But here's the thing. Last night not last night, a couple of nights ago, I had a conversation with a gentleman, and he said that black women are the least protected women in America. And I'm like, okay, I get that. In the 1950s, that was probably true. Cool, I get that. It was a different time. But here in 2020, at that time, black women didn't have the right to vote. They didn't have Section 8. They didn't have welfare like they do now. They didn't have preferential treatment at these government jobs. They weren't the most educated group in America, and all these other things that they have said. But can you point out to me some programs set up specifically for black men that specifically help Black men to uplift us. And I don't think you can. We're the most incarcerated. We're the most heavily policed. We're very rarely ever given the benefit of the doubt when it comes to crimes that we may not even committed. Here's the crazy thing. White folks are the most arrested. Black men are the most incarcerated. In other words, they're the ones that get arrested the most, but somewhere between the prison, the sentence, and the arrest and the sentencing, they're let free in the system. Whereas Black men per capita are the most incarcerated. And so, you know, the thing is, tonight I want to explain, and I think I proved that point. I think those of us who are thinking men realize, yeah, we are the least protected. But what do we do to go about protecting ourselves now? Because I don't wait around for other people to come save me. I'm going to save myself. What do you think about this concept, and what is your input? Please go ahead and take the floor.
Okay, so here's one thing that's been troubling me for days on end. When I talk to my mentors, the biggest thing that I talk up on is literacy. And this is the biggest place where we as I believe as an entire race struggle with, because when you look at social media, you look at even whether it's printed media, social media, the mainstream media, whatever, everybody's trying to convince you to go in one direction or the other, using things like pop culture, or what do we call it, grievance politics. And a lot of people don't get the context of what these arguments are that people are making about, like about Black men. And the reason I think it is because we're not reading like we're supposed to, right? We got to look for context before we can start a fight. Like, I think what was the rapper's name that made this argument? He sat on a panel with what looked like an entire Black caucus from the Muslim community. Killer Mike. He said we're not ready to start a revolution because you have a lot of Black people that don't know how to hunt. They don't plant their own food. They don't hunt their own food. They don't know how to slaughter it. They don't really have basic survival skills, right? And the reason is not because we can't blame it on not being trained all the time, right? At the end of the day, if we don't take initiative to figure these things out for ourselves, just like our forefathers discovered a lot of things, like some of the best navigators hundreds of years ago were Black people. Why do you think they put us on ships in the first place? Right? Because we know how to navigate using the stars. And we know how to use things like a lot of people don't know this, but we know how to use navigational tools like the sextant to figure out how the angle of the stars, so we can figure out what direction we were going in on the ocean. And just like we were able to figure those things out, we can figure out rudimentary things like survival. It's not going to take long for us to do it if we commit to literacy. And then the other thing is we can't know our future until we know the past, right? And like with all these books, where I'm sitting in my office right now in my basement, and I have all these books on history, like on all different perspectives of Black history, especially. I feel like I can't know my future until I understand the past, because our ancestors, they already went through this huge struggle to get us to the point where we're at now, right? And the reason that I keep talking about literacy is because think about what slaves went through. Like George Washington Carver is a really good example, right? When you look at him, what was the first book he learned how to read? He learned how to read the Bible, right? Like whenever somebody picks up a book and they learn how to read, it's like they start taking their strength back, right? Or they discover their strength for the first time. And your strength is not just in muscles and sinews and your joints. It's up here. It's between your ears, and nobody's taking advantage of it. Like it seems like there's a lot of Black men like yourself that pursue high level degrees, but we don't get to see you guys that often, because it's like the public sector kind of tamps it down so that we don't see that influence, and we're not influenced in the right direction. Sometimes it takes seeing. And other times,
I said in my third point, I said we're underrepresented for the good deeds and overrepresented for our transgression. So that's one of those things. But go ahead, brother.
Exactly. And like it doesn't just take going to university. It takes more than that, because I'm sure you can attest to this too, Mr. Sperling. So you spend a lot more time studying now than you ever did in law school, because with every single case, like you got all this evidence. You got to look at these depositions. You got to look at this, that, and the third, just to make a case make sense, right? Logic takes more than just just graduating from college.
Right.
We have to educate ourselves too, and I think we don't place enough emphasis on self-education in the Black community overall, because a lot of what people look at what we idolize, right? We primarily idolize, pop stars, rappers, actors, ballers, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that necessarily. If that's your thing, go ahead. But for me, I don't watch a whole lot of TV, and the reason is because I don't see anything inspirational on there for people with my color skin. You know what I mean? Like I want to see people who are influential like yourself, doctors, lawyers, engineers. I want to see them giving lectures. The only lectures I found so far have been on YouTube from like Walter Williams, Thomas Sowell, Scheherazade Ali, and the like. Outside of that, you don't see them in the mainstream that often, if you do see them. And for the most part, it's like, we're just a voice echoing in the dark and hoping to God that someone hears the message. And that's. Go ahead.
Well,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. What I was going to say is the thing is there are a lot of us out there, but a lot of Black men. And right now I'm talking about we're still on the subject of protection. And what we're doing is protecting our reputation. We're not just a bunch of baby daddies, uneducated. As I said earlier, 57% of Black men are in the middle class right now. And we have a large percentage of Black men. I believe there are more Black men in university than there are in prison. So that trope needs to end. We're an up and coming group. Now, the thing that we also have to find, or that I've learned, is that Black men, our political ideologies and allegiances are no longer tied, and needs are no longer tied head to tail with Black American women. We have divergent needs. And so here's the thing, nobody speaks about that. And, they rather show an image of George Floyd being murdered 3,000 times over a 3-month period than show an up and coming Black man or a young Black man or older Black man doing something positive. So protecting our image, it requires that we begin to do what? Voice ourselves, let people hear our voice, because our voices are purposely silenced. Our voices, you don't really find too many Black men speaking up on behalf of Black men's issues when it comes to Black men. Now, let me say, it was a few years back, they were talking about abortion, and they had a bunch of white men who were on a panel or something like that in the Congress. They were on the special committee. The women had a fit about it. They said, "Oh my God, you talking about women's issues, but you don't have a woman up there on the Senate panel, the special committee talking about." Well, what about the fact when I see a bunch of white, Latino, Asian men talking about issues that Black men have to face? When I see that on MSNBC or CNN or Fox, why is it that we aren't presented with an opportunity to speak for ourselves? And when we do, we get somebody like Don Lemon, who's an apologist or who doesn't even understand what Black men are going. I think this man has a white partner or something like that, who's a man. You see what I mean? Not saying that, he wouldn't understand, but what I'm saying, he's removed from what the everyday Black man is going through. So why can't we have Black men advocating on behalf of ourselves? Because I think we'll do a better job speaking up on behalf of ourselves than anybody else will. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on that, Sage?
Okay, so my thoughts on the first part. That's a lot to unpack.
Yeah,
so my thoughts on the first part, where you're saying we have diverging needs. I think that they still align, even though they seem like they diverge. Our need, like Black woman's needs and the Black man's needs, still align. We need strong Black families, right? Like I'm in a strong Black family right now. I'm married to my beautiful Black wife, and I have 2 beautiful Black daughters and a handsome young prince for a son.
Well, see, the thing is, you're a rarity, because see, only 31% of Black men in the United States are married. You see what I mean? So the vast majority of our children are born out of wedlock at this point. 72% are born to single mothers. A single mother is going to have a different set of needs than a married woman. A single mother, being the head of the family, is going to have a different set of needs than a man who's the head of the household. So when I say they're divergent, I mean en masse, we have divergent needs politically speaking. You're going to have You're going to have black women who have needs for cheaper health care. What else? Child care. If something goes bad, they want to make sure we have a safety net in the form of welfare, Section 8. What else? They're going to need. They're going to need the doggone. I forget. Affirmative action, the double minority status when it comes to university. They have. You're not going to need all that stuff, and your wife is not going to need all that stuff. So en masse, the typical black man, 51% of us not married, are going to have a different set of needs. And it'll be different if 55, 60% of black folks were married like in the 1960s and before that in the 50s, but it's not like that. So that's what I mean specifically. And so and now that you have more black men entering into the middle class, i.e. it's 57% now, you got a lot more men being a lot more conservative than they used to be. You know, they're I'm not saying that they're going full Republican or full conservative. And you and I both know the reason that a lot of black men don't join is because they got so many racists over there in the Republican Party. You know, you don't want to be around that, you know, but I understand why we are now allowing people to see our socially conservative views. And I'm not saying I'm one. I've been both Democrat my whole life, but damn it, this last time I was just disappointed at the choice that I had. But go ahead. I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead and continue, brother.
Yeah, and see the thing that you were just getting at, as far as politics, the way I lean on politics, I've had family members try to discuss that with me, and they're like, oh, you know, which side are you on? I was like, you don't really need to choose sides in that war. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like, until they represent, you said it yourself, until they represent our interests, we don't need to choose a side, period. And I've watched several of your videos that talk about that. You need to vote your interest, and if they don't represent the interests of the black male, then why vote? Why vote for them? You know, if they want to make a difference for us, then they'll make it while they're in office. But the other thing is, it's just a daunting question. It's been on my mind for a while. Like, what is when it comes to the black single mother, what does the element of choice play a role in the help that she receives? You know what I mean? Because you could offer help, but the thing is, like, beggars can't be choosers. You know what I mean? Like, you can give with the greatest effort that you have. You can give exactly what you have, but when is what you have good enough to be able to help them? You know what I mean? When do they decide that what you've given them is good enough to be able to help? You know what I mean?
I do. Let's take a quick little commercial break, and then we're gonna come back with Triple Black, and then we'll get back to you because this is turning into the conversation that I wanted to have. So hold on a minute. We'll be right back. Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds. All right, so we were talking to Sage Apprentice, and now we got Triple Black. Triple Black, good evening. How are you today, man? How would you like to add? What can you add to this conversation? Oh, you got to unmute yourself, Triple Black. All right, there you go. Come on in, Triple Black.
You're talking about the general topic. With
the least protected. Yeah, go ahead.
With the show, I mean, I have a lot of different. I think that a lot of people gloss over the of the black household. That is one of a problem, but it's a big problem that doesn't really get diagnosed. And the guy that you have on there, he said he's married. And I'm sure as the head of a household, I'm sure at the head of a household, you have a little bit of control of what I call of hyper spending, frivolous spending, because you understand to run a family unit, there's a lot of sacrifices that you have to make. When you have 72% of the household that are headed by the biggest hyper consumer in America, which is the black woman. And she is actually making more. So the incremental destruction, I guess, to I guess, the black economy gets multiplied when this woman makes more. I'm not just trying to bash her, but there is a reason. Like, for instance, what we've seen right now with Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels
Right.
is being really popular on YouTube. Why do you think that? His core audience are very profitable bunch. They're very profitable. These are people that are spending $500 a month just on nails, $1,500 sometimes a month just on hair. Those it very easily influenced, and they're heading 72% of the households. You know, I mean, that means even if you are a single father, co-parenting, that's two households that you can get money from.
Yeah.
And where I'm going with that is I think it's an ugly problem that needs to get fixed within our community.
So you're saying
there's
the
a lot
road
of
to
waste.
protecting
And the
ourselves.
thing about it is,
You're saying the road to protecting ourselves as black men is to get remarried or have black families? Is that what it? Because I'm talking specifically about our
yes,
reputation. We were
absolutely.
targeted. All right, let me get right back to you,
Right.
Mr. Meach. How you doing? We'll get to you in a minute. Make sure you guys donate to the super chat. I want to make sure you donate to the Cash App and the PayPal. So Triple Black, here's the thing, man. I think our reputations, and if you're talking about reputations, our reputations were maligned even while we were married. Matter of fact, oftentimes it was our own women coming out the box saying how horrible we were. I mean, think about it. I mean, look at shows like Oprah Winfrey. Look at shows like, my God, the Oprah Winfrey sponsored. I can't believe I forget this. Color Purple. Her whole 20 years of being on television, the media maligns us, and that's married men and single men. So I don't necessarily know if getting married. I think we as black men have to say every time somebody says something bad about us in the public, at least on social media, we have to use that to respond. I feel like that's what we need to do. Mr. Meach, what can you add to this conversation?
Hey, so
we'll get right back to. We're gonna go to Sage and Triple Black after Mr. Meach. Go ahead, Mr. Meach. Add on, and thank you too for the.
All right, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me clearly? Okay, so
yes,
one of the biggest things we have to start doing, we have to start funding our high visibility people that speak out for us. So profiles, entertainers, celebrities, these people. What we do is, we'll leave somebody out there to speak for us. But then when they can't get a job, when they get blackballed, when they get blacklisted, Colin Kaepernick is a perfect example, right?
Right.
We just leave them out there. And it's just like, hey, I hope you do better, but we're not going to send you any money. Let's really think about this. 1 million people, $10, that's $10 million for somebody to speak out for us. And we can't tell us, yes, there's a lot of people doing bad, but we can't say that here over the past decade. We've never had a million people that can give $10. Yes, exactly. Same thing. Parker, and he's coming out with a movie next month. I bought that movie. I bought multiple copies of that movie to show that man some support, right? And it's a great movie. If you haven't seen it, people really need to go see that. A Birth of a Nation, right? He has another movie coming out next month, and that's gonna be another one that they go at hard and heavy like they did Birth of a Nation. And what I'm wondering is how many people are gonna go out there and support him. Do you get what I mean? Because there are people out here trying to do something for us, but you know.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, but we can't expect people to put their neck out for us, risking their own livelihood if we're not even going to have their back.
I get that, brother. But see, this is my thing. I think that we all have a responsibility to speak up for us. See, I don't want to put it on one person. I feel like black folks we've been waiting for white Jesus to come down so long. And then when we found out Jesus wasn't as white as we thought, we still waiting for Superman or somebody else. The reason Barack Obama was able to play on us and give us all this hope, because we thought our savior had finally returned, when in actuality, we're the saviors. We're the ones that have to save ourselves, in my opinion. We can't wait around for a Colin Kaepernick to speak up. We have to be the ones to speak up each and every time. There are 22 million black men in the United States. If every time somebody said something disparaging about one of us, we either refused to speak negatively or came out of the box, used our Facebook accounts and our IG accounts and began to attack whatever news source that was, boycott, or not even boycott, just bomb that website, not that word I want to say, but just barrage that website with comments, they were shut down. It happened each and every time. They would realize you can't say things about black men without them coming after you. We would create such a force that they would say, look, we just they're off limits. All right, because see, at this point, man, black men have been the whipping boys of the United States. We only live in about 26 cities in the United States, and most of those are along the coast. You know, we are from New York, Seattle, all the way around, back around. That's where we live. Yeah, we live in some Cleveland's and Detroit, but for the most part, we don't even occupy the entirety of the United States. But it seems as though we get blamed for everything. When one of our athletes does something, it's all over the news in Montana. They don't even have any black folks up there. You know, when one of our entertainers does something, it's all over the news around the world. We need to begin to use our social media accounts to attack those websites and those news organizations that put that fake news or that overdo it. That's what I think. So anyway, Sage, okay, and I don't have a problem.
I think we need to do both.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I think we need to do both.
But I want to put the onus on us, not with us to wait around for a savior to come, because the savior ain't gonna come. I want us to do something. All 22 million of us to take it upon to put this on our backs and run with it and carry this burden, so our sons and our nephews don't have to. That's what I'm saying. Let's end this right now. Let's develop the reputation of, you don't want to mess with them black dudes, because they will jump on the internet and they will wear you out, and you will not be able to. Your website will crash messing around with them. But Sage Apprentice, you're next, man. We're gonna go to Triple Black, then we're going back to you, Mr. Meach. What do you have to add, Sage?
All right, so you pretty much took care of the offensive, but on the defense, we definitely have to take care of the basics, which it goes back to the argument about literacy. It's okay if we fight, but we got to have the right words. You know what I mean? Because you want to send the right impression. There's these movements that, there's one movement that, I shall not speak of. I take issue with it because a movement, if you know anything about how movements work, they have a clear end state. They have a way of dealing with politicians. They have a way of dealing with the detractors from their movement. They have a way of dealing with people that make them look bad in the media. They have a way of dealing with all of those things. They're well planned out. Like the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party, their movement was well planned out. The Civil Rights Movement, the original Civil Rights Movement, their movement was well planned out. There were clear end states, and there were ways to deal with detractors that attempted to malign the purpose of their movement. But there are movements that are going on nowadays. They don't have a clear end state. They just exist to consume. That's all they do. So if there's going to be a movement of any sort, then it needs to have a clear end state, and there needs to be a plan for where we're going, for where we're headed. And then if it's going to be, if it's going to be something that needs to evolve over time, then once again, the people that need to be heading up that movement, it needs to be, your intellects, your engineers, your lawyers, maybe somebody that's, somehow affiliated with security apparatus, but it needs to be people who are knowledgeable in, things like law and command. Unlike, some of these other movements that we see where there's no clear leader. It almost functions sort of like an insurgency. And it's completely disorganized. They don't have any kind of way to control their detractors, and that's why you get these burnings and these riots and people looting black businesses.
Right. And
so,
see, the thing is, man, when I see that, like, okay, I'm from LA. I remember the LA riots. I was out there. I'm not gonna go any further than that. If you want to know what I was doing in the LA riots, buy my books. I'll tell you exactly what I was doing. But I realized at that time, violence in this country is burning up stuff and throwing bottles and throwing bricks, and that's not going to change anything. If you want to change something in this system, you have to take this system over and you have to make this system work for you. When the Italians came from Italy and they landed in New York, they took over. They had a horrible reputation. You know, matter of fact, they treated the Italians and the Irish pretty darn bad because remember, they were considered not quite, they weren't, white folks have categories of whiteness. And we'll just leave it at that. They have a ranking system, and the Irish and the Italians were low on that ranking system. Well, fine. It didn't matter to them. What they did, the Irish took over the police departments and the Italians took over the fire departments. And they went from the gangs of New York, and you can look at that movie and look at the history of that. They were tearing each other's up. They were destroying each other, not against each other, but as far as a group of people. But what they did was they got together and they began to take over different systems, and then they worked their way up through those systems. And now they run New York. They run Boston. They run these different places. And so what I'm trying to say is you're not going to go anywhere throwing bottles at police cars and whatnot. It may make you blow out. You can blow off a little steam, but at the end of the day, they prepared for that. All you've done when you burn down these stores and whatnot, they're going to get the insurance money and they're going to pack up and move somewhere else. All you're going to do with the cops is help them get more overtime by saying, yeah, we got to ride. You know how many cops got rich doing overtime over the past 9 months? That's all you're doing, fam. But nothing has changed for us because they still have black men being killed. They still have, if you want to stop these cops from killing black men, what you do is you go after those police unions. That's what you do. You go after the police unions. You get what you put councilmen, you put congressmen, you put state legislators in there that will outlaw police unions in your state and call them unconstitutional. If you want to play that, that's how you would want to do that. But fighting with a cop on the street is not going to do anything. You hit them in the pocket, you undermine them from behind. And I have no problem with police. I have no problem with good cops doing good cop work. I appreciate that. We do not want to live in a society where there is no police. I've lived in locations where their police don't show up. Okay, I've lived there. I know what it's like. Trust me, you do not want to be the one who has to defend yourself against those who are ready and willing to commit crimes and harm you. Imagine if you as a man had to walk your daughters and your wife and your girlfriend to school every day and be there and pick them up. You couldn't let them go to the grocery store and pick up stuff because there were people out there that would take advantage of. There was a movie that Denzel Washington was in a couple of years back. He played a blind man with a Bible, and he was trying to get the Bible. I forget the name of the movie, but basically that's what the world looks like. What was it in? What was it called?
It was Book of Eli.
Yeah, the Book of Eli. That's what the world is like without police officers defending. We pay them to do their job. We want them to do their job. What we don't want to do is have dirty cops who have proclivities towards racism and bias on the. We don't want them there. You know, we got to weed them out. But
Mr. Sperling, one thing I would add to that, like kind of reinforce your point, is once again it ties back to that literacy point. So in order for us to be able to give them the support they need, we have to be able to hold them accountable. And the only way to hold them accountable is once again to be literate on the NRS codes and the laws that are associated with the jobs they do. That's the only way we're going to be able to hold them accountable. But just sitting in the car and arguing with them and saying, you know, I know my rights, that's not going to do you any good. Exactly.
I'm a lawyer and I don't even argue with cops when they pull me over. Here you go.
Exactly.
Here you go. All right. You want me to get out the car? Okay. I know my rights. I know what my rights are, but I argue my rights in the courthouse. I'm not going to argue with the guy because he's just going to call backup and they're going to see a 6'4", 270-pound black man. They're not going to care about my credentials or anything. It's a time and a place for everything. That's not the right place. So that's not the right place to protect yourself. You protect yourself beforehand and afterhand. Now, if you're in a situation where, I don't even want to go into that, but look, Triple Black, here's my thing. So now we've moved on to law enforcement. We talked about our reputation generally. I kind of wanted to get on I was going to throw a scenario out there. What if you got a Chris Brown or something? He comes. So the next black men that they try to annihilate in the social media, the next black man that they try to annihilate on the news, his reputation. I want you guys who are listening to me right now, don't let your knee-jerk reaction be, oh, I'm going to hop on the internet and say something disparaging about this black man. Don't do that. Even if he's dead wrong, just don't say anything. No comment is a perfectly acceptable answer. I don't know. I haven't developed an opinion yet. I want to wait till all the facts are in. Let me see. We don't know. Are there any witnesses? I don't want to rush to judgment. Those are perfectly acceptable answers, fellas. Don't be the person, because it kind of reminds me of that, and I hate to keep using these movie references, but the Django, when they had those two black men fighting against each other, it's like, that's what they love to see. That's why I refuse to fight with other black men in public. You know, I got guys talking crazy about me sometimes on the internet. You look at him now. He rich. Why is he asking for a donation? I'm like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? You guys are just trying to find a reason to be angry. Why even do that? You know, but Triple Black, what else do you have to add? And then we're going to go to Mr. Meach and then back to Sage. And then in the meantime, you guys make sure, I want to run another commercial here. You guys make sure you
The only time black men are allowed to speak is when it benefits others. So, hey, this is your opportunity to speak. I want to hear from you. And if you want to make this voice louder and clearer, then what you need to do is contribute to the Cash App, the PayPal, and the Super Chat. I appreciate you.
All right. So Triple Black, man, you're up, man. What else you got to add on to this conversation? Oh, Triple Black, you got to unmute yourself.
You know what? I mean, I was trying to finish. I mean, I was gonna. Well, I was sorry. I was long-winded on the point that I was trying to make.
Oh no, that's cool, man.
Just
cool.
the first time. Yeah. What I was talking about is group. I mean, we don't, and that's a really big problem. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Yeah. No, we don't practice group anything. We don't practice group anything. It befuddles me why we always end up in these spaces talking about stuff when we can't even get on. I mean, you can't even get a group of brothers in the same room on just, on one vision. Like it's crazy. Like this past election, and I don't care what group or what, if you're a Democrat or Republican, to me, they're both the same people, but you know what? For some reason, us as black men, we were divided on voting for two white supremacists, in my opinion. Like, we were actually at each other's throats, defending which white guy is going to lead us. I'm like, in 400 years, when has any white man have done anything right by you, for you to put any trust in Trump, for you to put any trust in Biden? Tell me.
Well, just to be fair, that we have had white allies before, for whatever reason we have. So I'm not going to just cast a broad brush across, all white folks like that. But this last election, yeah, they got two humdingers up there, and I'm very disappointed at the Democratic Party. But that's really, they knew what they were doing. They were appeasing to those casually prejudiced and bigoted folks, and they couldn't put somebody up there. They had to put Biden up there because he has a track record of being more like Trump than most other guys.
How patronizing is a guy bringing out rappers to endorse you?
Well, that's because we haven't protected our reputation. They think we're a bunch of thugs and criminals and hooligans. And so because of that, they think that's in sexual deviance. And because of that, that's what they think appeals to us. And so that's why we're here tonight. That's why we're having this conversation. That's why I want to talk to you black men about what do we do to protect our reputation, to protect our bodies, to protect our finances, to protect our livelihoods, to protect our reputations, and then pass that down. Mr. Meach. So one of the other things are you still there, Mr. Meach?
I'm still here.
No. All right. So one of the other things, the other aspect I was saying, and I just mentioned it, protecting our finances. See, we are living in a get the bag culture. We're living in a culture where there are a lot of women of all ethnicities who see us as targets. Look at all these women lined up outside the NBA basketball games, lined up to catch a baller, lined up to try to have a baby by a baller so they can hit them with child support. So what do? We need to make it understood that it's perfectly acceptable to say, you know what, I want a prenuptial agreement, or you know what, I'm not ready to have children. I'm not ready to get married until after I finish with playing ball. You see what I mean? We need to begin to make sure that our athletes and people like that know that they should have the people who deal with them sign NDA agreements, non-disclosure agreements when they deal with them. This is something that should be public. This is something that black men should talk about as much as what the score was, on their favorite team's most recent game. How do we change that conversation? How do we put protecting our wealth and and I know that was a bit extreme, but it goes all the way down to how much money we spend on different things. Let's make Michael Jordan shoes unpopular, because all we've done is make him rich. This PS5 that everybody's running out to buy. How do we make that unpopular? How do we say, no, it's better to save your money? Take it from there, Mr. Meach, and then we're going to go to Sage Apprentice and Triple Black. Now we're on the subject of protecting our finances. What do you do? Because we need our money, right? You got to have that. So what do you got for me, Mr. Meach?
Okay, well, first off, we're going to have to be able to prioritize. We're going to have to understand why having money on hand is the priority. A lot of us don't understand that is the priority, right? So we all want to make purchases. You know what I mean? I got a little something. There's purchases I would like to make, but you have to actually see if there's a reason you're buying it other than popularity. This is what I call black people the entertainment class of the United States. What I mean by that is, with Hispanics being here, we're no longer the lower ranking working class. We were never on the upper echelons of the working class. So what is it that we're providing here in the United States in a manner that they can't get anywhere else? That's entertainment. And it's not just entertainment with what we do on television, but it's even amongst each other. That's why you'll have people that live in low income housing projects, and they have 5-6 pairs of Jordans, and they're paying $40 a month for rent, right? The car needs they have a whole bunch of clothes, they have jewelry. Their car needs repair. There's not enough fuel in the tank very often. So we have to really see what the priority is. First off, to see that all of these people that are selling us all of these things, they don't really care about us. A lot of people, we think it gives us.
Why is it that black folks?
Status.
Why is it black men want to be cared about? Why do we want to be liked so much? Why is that? Why do we feel the need? Why do we want everybody to like? Is this a high school popularity contest in America? Why is it that we feel we want to be liked? Where'd that come from?
We fit because we feel, because back in the day, you try to, hopefully, you know how it is. They talk about like the shines. That's one thing they used to call them. Hopefully, if you do enough, you'll be accepted. You don't have to worry about being in an unsafe place, right? And this just got passed on through generations. But now it's getting to the point now where it's a status thing, right? So if you have Jordans, it's a status thing. You have a bunch of jewelry, it's a status thing. Here's the problem, though, that you can't buy anything with those Jordans. You can't buy anything with that jewelry, and neither Jordans or jewelry are going to accrue interest. Right.
All right.
And we have to be willing to step back and ask ourselves.
Step back and ask ourselves what, brother? Go ahead and finish that thought.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish this real quick and then drop off. We have to understand.
Oh, no, hang in there. We're almost done, man. You
Okay.
stuck here with us for another 7 minutes. Go ahead, and we're gonna go back around the Sage. I got a tough question for him, Triple Black, and we're gonna come back and let you end it. But go ahead, finish your thought, brother.
Got it. Okay, we have to understand that when you're talking about having capital is something that you use to go build something, to go purchase something that's going to be useful to you. You can't spend Jordans, you can't spend jewelry.
Yeah. All right. So look, we're gonna run a commercial.
Thank you everybody for your contributions. I appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Donate to the Super Chat. Donate to the PayPal. Donate to the Cash App. It's your contributions and your donations that'll cause for this platform to grow. Let our voice be the preeminent voice in Black America.
All right. So Sage Apprentice, we're talking about finances and black men protecting finances. I think Dr. Dre did a great job of protecting his finances from his second wife here. What are your thoughts on that? And is that something that all black men, especially wealthy black men, should follow?
I would have to agree. I definitely have to agree. I think that look,
What do we do? What do we
unfortunately,
do in response to black women shaming Dr. Dre and saying he's stingy, and his daughter coming out the block saying, "Oh, he hasn't talked to me in 17 years," and you know what? How do we respond to sisters when they say stuff like that?
you know, the best way to deal with shaming, which I've dealt with shaming, insults, and all that stuff before. Look,
But
the
see,
best way to
we
deal with
can't
it,
ignore it, brother, because if they
right?
hear
Stay on your
their
grind.
voices and we don't have a matching voice, then they'll end up on television. They'll end up disparaging all of us. So we've been doing that for 60 years. It didn't work.
So why is it that being reasonable in the press, why is that not an option?
I mean, we can be reasonable.
You get what I'm saying?
I don't think we need to be silent. I don't think. See, for the past,
no, we definitely don't.
Yeah.
I agree with you. We don't need to be silent. We can be passionate, right? We can offer sound rebuttal. We don't need, but what we don't need to do is, you know, be out there using pejoratives and insults like all these other people do to us. We don't have to offer insults in return for insults. We get called all kinds of names. Black men get called all kinds of names in the media. We get called Dusty. What are some other phrases they use? I don't know what phrase they use, but like it's ridiculous because when you look at the stats, that whole Dusty phrase, it doesn't bear out. You know, like you go on blackdemographics.com, and it talks about like where we are socioeconomically. Men are paying off their student loan debt. You know, men own houses. Men own a lot of stuff. Like we don't have a ton of revolving debt. You know, like, so we do know how to prioritize our money. I don't think that we should have to pay for the mistakes of others. I firmly disagree with that. I think that once again, it always ties back to that last point about literacy, right? We have to figure out financial literacy, right? We got to do a little bit of legal literacy. We got to sit in these courtrooms and figure out how things work, whether it's the family courts or it's a criminal court or civil court.
I would say that what you should do is, instead of wasting your time sitting in the court, make sure you find a lawyer, especially if you have any black lawyers in your area. Find you some black lawyers, have lunch with them. Say, no, man, I just wanted to get to know you. I wanted my sons to get to know you. Same thing. And see, so it's not necessarily that they have to do that. We have qualified professionals for that.
Exactly.
But they're underused. You know, I firmly believe that we have everything we need to protect ourselves. We just don't use the resources that we look over. That's what I think also.
And when literacy fails, you always appeal to the experts.
There we go. All right, Triple Black, Mr. Meach, and Mr. Research, AKA. Are you still there, Mr. Research, AKA?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, I'm going to get to Triple Black and then Mr. Meach. I like to vet people before I let them in because, we get some weirdos in here, but you guys are good, man. So Triple Black, man, how do we go about protecting ourselves in the legal system?
Oh, I thought you were about to ask me that question about with Dr. Dre. I was just like, as
no,
lawyer,
you got you got to.
I can't even understand how you can get in that surface level.
But go ahead. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on Dr. Dre?
I was just like, hey, you know what, Dr. Dre? I mean, like, he was in business. He was in business. I mean, I don't even know how you that even it's so surface level to me. I don't understand how it's even dignified an answer, because why would Jimmy IV get into business with Dr. Dre and make one of the biggest deals ever and not have Dr. Dre protect his assets for some type of liability or something like that? I don't understand how anybody like why wouldn't Dr. Dre be already set and protected? Because Jimmy IV is one of the.
Let me tell you something. Because can I give you some advice? Because they don't know. These brothers are first generation millionaires and billionaires. This is not information that's been passed down. I mean, even myself, man, I've learned a tremendous amount about finances, but I had to go out and literally do internships and inconvenience myself to do it. That man has just basically made his life, making songs and in the music business and the entertainment business. They need professionals that they can trust. They need people who actually have their vested interest. But see, they're not going to come to me because they too are subject to the same tropes and negative stereotypes about black men, black lawyers, black professionals that everybody else is. And so what we have to do is begin to change that narrative to protect our reputation, but also be able to get the benefit of the doubt. And it helps all around when we begin to protect our reputation, our health, our finances. So we just have to do it. You basically, man, bottom line is, hell, he didn't know he should. And it wasn't Jimmy Iovine's job to tell him that. I mean, that's what I think. What are your thoughts?
No. What I'm saying is I would think that if you were to be in talks with Apple, which is the biggest company, I think they're $1 trillion company. If there wasn't back then, I would think that he would have the wherewithal.
They're not concerned about his money, man. They're not concerned about Dr. Dre's money, man.
Yeah, right. But I would be.
I know, but I don't think that it's bro. They're not concerned about his money, bro. They just want to make sure he fulfills the terms of their contract. That might be considered overstepping their bounds, And if they find out that he hasn't, he might consider that, oh, you think I'm stupid or something. So he might have taken offense. They just wanted to get the deal and get out of there. I mean, but Mr. Meach, man, look, I want you to chime in on this subject, but I also wanted to try to hit health a little bit, protecting our health. And that includes mental health and also, physical health. But I need you guys to donate to the super chat. I want to first give a shout out to Ninja Burnett. Thank you so much. Hologram EMC, and great big shout out to RD. He's with Mr. Meach. So Mr. Meach, make sure you give a special shout out to RD, man. I appreciate that $100 super chat. Hey, you guys donate to the super chat. It's you all that allow me to keep doing this. It's about 10 o'clock at night and I'm still working. Hey, Mr. Meach, talk to us, man. What do we need to do?
Let me just add something real quick.
I want to get Mr. Meach in, brother. We over time now. I want to get Mr. Meach in and then Mr. Research. Okay, but we'll be back again tomorrow. Mr. Meach, add into this. Tell me what do we need to do to protect our mental health?
Okay, so here's one of the big things, and this will really tie into mental health and it'll tie into finances, like what you were just talking about with the lawyers and everything. Black men are under constant stress and have always been under constant stress in this country. Yeah. Get to the point where we feel like can't trust anybody has our back, and a lot of times we don't even have each other's back. Do you get what I mean? We have to start learning to trust each other. I talked to one of my buddies about this. I served in the military for 9 years. I talked to one of my old military buddies about this. I'm like, black men have to start making moves to other black men, because it's like this. If I ran in Sterling real life, I had absolutely nothing to talk about that was related to business, that related to finance, was related to anything. And for good reason, it would be on your best interest if you understood that placed me in a certain box, right? Or at least you kept me out of certain boxes because I don't have anything to contribute to you in that manner. If the only thing I talk to you was about sports and entertainment, then how can you look at me and trust that I have the better power moves in place? Right. You get what I mean? Right. Business in place. Because it's only at the end of the day, finance body protection.
Yeah.
Right. And we have to speak about things that fine. Black men look at each other right now. We don't think we have anything worth listening to.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you, Mr. Meach. Mr. Research, aka, thank you for patiently waiting. Welcome, Mr. I guess it's your first time here, man. So, we're talking about black, the trope is that black women are the least protected group in America. That might have been true in the 1950s because they had the same stuff to deal with, plus the stuff that women have to deal with. But
true.
In 2020, I feel like with all the programs and the benefits that black women get, it's black men that are the least protected group and the most disrespected group in the United States. So what do we need to do to protect ourselves, man? We need answers.
All right. So let me give you a couple of solutions, but first let me backtrack a little bit. What Dennis is talking about, gentlemen, is levels of power. It's beyond money. It's power and image. I work in medical finance. I'm the only black man at my hospital. Why is that? Because all the other brothers are working service jobs. They're looked at as servants. If you're not a doctor, if you're not me, you're a servant. You're an irrelevant cat. Too many cats get caught up in the get the bag mentality. And what Dennis is trying to share with y'all is the mentality has to be beyond that as it relates to imaging.
Yeah.
It's what your brothers back in the day during the Pullman train, which is why they created the union, because they realized there was power in that. So the solutions here, and let me touch on the Dr. Dre thing a minute, because the brother was speaking on that. Well, you can't say he should have known, because proof of that is when he was with Suge, you should have said he should have known because he was with Iveen then.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, and that goes back to Dennis' thing about it's not his job to let him know that, because everything he's slipping on, Jimmy Iovine gets an extra 15, 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not my job. What did Dr. Dre say to DOC when DOC was sleeping in his house for over 6 years? Hey, here's the contract, but read it. Oh, I'm rolling with you, Dre. No, get your lawyer and read it. And they best friends. So all that stuff, respectfully to the brothers, what Dennis was trying to say, forget all that concept of just enough.
Right.
Get into the concept of I'm mentally fighting the Asian every week. I'm mentally fighting the white man every week. And then you'll get beyond money and start looking at things from the standpoint of how can I move the needle to get some more black men hired? So here's the solution, Dennis. This goes to when you had the other brothers on, the brothers that you knew.
Everybody liked that one. Yeah, they liked that one.
Unprotected. Well, let's put the blame where the blame is, Dennis. We black men don't hire enough black men. We black men leave it up to white women who do most of the hiring for black men. The EEOC, just so you know that I'm not making a speech, people, the EEOC has black men as the highest disenfranchised for employment for the past 5 decades. How did that happen if black men are hiring black men? But what ends up happening is we have a double fold situation. Since 1950s, which Dennis kind of alluded to, and I'm sorry to be long-winded, I just want y'all to get the information.
No, you got it. You got it. You came in right on time. Go ahead, brother. The floor is yours.
1950, before the right to vote, this is key. It was people like Dennis hiring admin assistants who were black. It was people like me pulling in nurses. It was people like some of you gentlemen hiring people to have the black woman do your books. It wasn't the white woman. It wasn't the white man. The white woman was hiring black woman to clean her floors. You don't see nothing in 1950 where the black woman's working in an office space side by side with the white woman. But she's simultaneously telling the black woman that, hey, women's suffrage, but I'm not going to hire you. Let's march together, but you black women get in the back. Now, when black women come to power, thank you to Ronald Reagan dropping dope everywhere, according to COINTELPRO, which Bush released to make sure everybody knew it was Reagan who dropped all those drugs down there, trying to bankroll the Sandinista War. You had people who took a party drug, the way you do with these weed shops we got now, and unbeknownst to people, when you're freebasing, you get more addictive. Okay, nobody knew that. Okay, everybody was sniffing cocaine. Nobody really knew it. My point is, then the brothers and the infrastructure started to suffer, and many of our women who black men had elevated in the 70s had their jobs. Okay, let's kick the game where it really needs to be held. Then those women still stuck on some of that anti-male white woman knowledge. They became, ready for it, Dennis, the gatekeepers. They became the ones saying, Dennis, you're not qualified enough. But her white counterpart, her Irish counterpart, is hiring an Irish cousin and giving him on the job training. Right. They'll say, Meech, you not you don't have any skills in this area, but the Pakistani person is over here pulling their countrymen in, making sure they get on the job training. You see, we fell for the doo-wop because our women fell for the doo-wop. So then people start saying stuff like this, Dennis. Well, I can't hire Dennis because Dennis is your brother, and it's rules against that. Okay, where in the HR rule book does it say that? It says you can't hire a person under your direct supervision. So why are you remixing it into you can't hire nobody at all who's a family member?
Yeah.
See, we became gatekeepers.
I appreciate that, man. And that's a good way to basically summarize it. We need to help each other. But my point here today, folks, is I want you brothers to recognize that we need to begin to defend ourselves. We need to take offensive steps. As Mr. Sage pointed out, we need to take offensive steps to protect ourselves. I feel like we are the only ones that can save ourselves. And I don't personally want to leave this burden on my sons. We, as Mr. Research pointed out, this is about power and image. Because let me tell you something. It's real lonely at the top. And when you're the only black guy up there, you become a target. There's a reason why I kind of operate what I do. I don't really go out and hang out. You don't see me being too flamboyant. I keep to myself. I'm like one of those old school mafia guys. You rarely see me. I live in a very normal suburban home. I live a very normal suburban life. You wouldn't know anything about me, you know. And the reason I do that is because I know that as a black man, I'm a target because I don't have any protection. If they start maligning my name in the public right now, half of you folks would just go against me. I knew I ain't like that dude, blah, blah, and you would believe everything they say. Now, of course, some people will come to my favor. Some people come to my side. But for the most part, you guys would pile on. You would jump right on. You would do the same thing to me that you did to Bobby Brown, Chris Brown, James Brown, name all of them. And so that's why I think, fellas, I don't want that to happen to you. I don't want that to happen to our sons. I don't want that to happen to our nephews. And what we need to do, fellas, we need to make it, we need to get on code with protecting each other. And if anything, don't go talking reckless about other black men just because the media says he did something bad. Don't go talking, don't disparage other black men from the past, like Dr. Martin Luther King. Don't run with those tropes. Don't do it. Just don't say anything. Mimic what the dominant society does, brothers. They don't go talking about them. I mean, all of those founding fathers of the United States were slave owners. They were rebels. They rebelled against their king, King George. But you don't hear them call them rebels. They uplift them. They say positive things about them. They focused on the positive. So that's what we need to do, brothers. Look, thank you so much, Sage Apprentice, Triple Black, Mr. Research, everybody who contributed tonight. I appreciate you guys. Is there a topic? And I'm going to unmute everybody. Sage Apprentice, Triple Black, Mr. Research, since you guys are here. This is our channel. We got enough people. I want to ask you, what topics do you want to hear discussed here? Sage, you first. Tell me some stuff. You give me a title. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? You think is important? Something we missed?
So I've been saying it the whole time. Literacy in the black community, like the importance of literacy in the black community. I don't think it's something that's focused on enough. We talk a lot about pop culture, and we use a lot of pop culture references, and we talk a lot about politics, but we don't really focus on the fundamentals anymore. And I think, like in large part, the reason a lot of people in the black community don't get the help that they need is because we don't take the first step. Like, we don't take the first step by actually reading. Like, and we keep forgetting that things like reading, something as basic as reading,
and
is extremely
Triple Black,
important.
what do you think are some topics we should discuss on our page here?
One of the main topics, I think, it's mental health. It's definitely mental health, because the thing is like in mental health, like there's a lot of stuff that as black men that we have to carry. We have to carry, and we have to protect it. And you can't ever, I mean, like, there's really no forum to really, learn about mental health and express mental health. You know, it's like, for instance, like I don't even really have anybody to talk to. I mean, if you go on one of these spaces and, you say anything about mental health, I'm going to oh, no, you're a simp. Oh, get over it. Man up.
Actually, brother, like, I had a specialist on. His name is I had a specialist on. His name is Rico Rivers. He was here and he talked about mental health and mental health issues. I'm going to put that program here, but that's something we definitely can revisit. So I'm putting that as a list of things. I will develop a show about that. So thank you for reminding me. That's something we can revisit. Mr. Research, what do you think is a topic that we either discussed and should revisit, or a topic that we as black men haven't discussed or don't discuss enough? What do you got? What do you think?
I would like you and your clique to talk about going beyond just talking, financially support some of the bills that would affect black men. For example, Cory Booker done put out 3 bills, whether you like this dude or not, that affect black men. And we don't even financially support this guy the way we should. So
he's a senator from New Jersey, right?
Right.
What bills are they specifically?
Well, one of them that's most popular is that First Step Act. That was him writing that.
Okay.
So you see, we don't even support the people who are
everybody. That's the bill that allows black men who've been incarcerated to either get out, get a clean slate. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So that's more okay. So like a criminal justice aspect. What other bills has he supported that you know about or you can recall?
Well, he has one on right now that has to do with helping child support in some fashion, but that has to make it out of the House. Okay. But my point is he's writing them.
Okay. And the thing is, again, I don't believe in saviors. I don't believe what I expect is if there are 22 million black men in America, I expect all of them to send an email to their senator and their representative saying support that legislation.
Absolutely.
Cory Booker. See, that's how we do it. Because money, you can't, you're giving the money back to a country, to an institution that prints the money. They don't need your money. You see what I'm saying? They really don't. Yeah. It doesn't matter which politician is in office. If you put enough pressure on any of them, they'll fold after a while. See,
my point, Dennis, is
let me finish, brother. It doesn't matter what side they are, who they advocate on behalf. When you put enough political pressure on these politicians, they'll conform. And if they don't, then you find somebody who will do your bidding. Yes, you can finance different politicians. I do that on the local level. I contribute where I can. But for the most part, it's incumbent upon all of us. I'm not putting one person up there to fight my fight. Either we all stand together shoulder to shoulder and we walk forward so that we are all equally responsible for our own destiny, or we don't. We've tried to put leaders up. What happens when we put leaders up? What do they do to our leaders? They incarcerate them, they malign them, they kill them. So we all in this together. There's no we're not waiting around. We're not waiting around anymore. That's my whole point. So thank you guys. I appreciate everybody. This has been a great conversation. I will definitely
Dennis, I wanted to add to that list.
Okay, what you want to add?
Yeah, man, it's group economics, and also monetary policy. I think that's a big thing. When you say finance, I mean finance kind of almost limits the concept that I'm trying to talk about.
Oh, I got it, brother. I appreciate it, man. We're gonna go ahead and wrap the show up. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so Triple Black. Group economics, and what's the other thing you said?
Monetary policy. Well, basically
monetary policy. Okay, got it. Thank you so much, Triple Black. All right, you guys, look, tonight we've been talking about black men protecting themselves because I believe we're the most unprotected group in America. But see, here's the thing. I'm not putting it on somebody else to protect us. I'm putting it on you to protect yourself. I'm putting it on me to protect myself. I'm putting it on you to protect your brother's reputation where you can in the mass media. When they say something negative about a black man, you don't have to jump on the bandwagon. You don't have to pile on. All you have to do is say, you know what? I'm either not going to say anything or I'm going to find a reason to defend this black man. See, the life you save, it might be your own. The reputation that you saved in that black man is also going to relate to your reputation. When they see you, they see me. When the cops see some black man on the street, they don't see some lawyer. They don't see a doctor. They don't see a highfalutin businessman. They see they see the images that they've seen on television for the past 20 or 30 years. No good deadbeat daddies, some of which comes from us, some of which comes from our media. But remember, at the end of the day, this is all stirred up by this media that has not been an adversary of ours. So what we have to do is we have to begin to curb that media just like you curb a rabid dog. And you have to train them that each and every time they say something negative about a black man's image, what do? We punish them. We punish them with negative press. We punish them with boycotts. We punish them with quiet boycotts. It doesn't have to be organized. It just has to be understood. You don't need to speak on something like, as they say, what's understood don't need to be said. Each and every time they say something disparaging about a black man or his reputation, we respond. We respond to them using our social media accounts, using our email addresses. That's how we do it. That's a good start. And that'll teach us to get on page, and then we move on from there. But the last thing you should be doing, fellas, is sitting around jumping on another black man for something he allegedly did, knowing that there are so many different things that play in the part of why they attack black men and why they disparage us. Don't you become our worst enemy. We need to be our best friends. We need to love each other, not necessarily that we have to always be up on each other, that we always have to come together and have powwows. We don't need to have not one more goddamn meeting. What we need to do is just get on code. And that code being your number one priority is self-preservation. And in preserving yourself, you're also preserving your black brother. God bless you all. I love you. This is Uncle D. I'm out.
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you appreciate the format and you appreciate what we're doing here, then make sure you contribute to the Cash App, make sure you contribute to the PayPal, make sure you donate to the Super Chat. It's only you and your contributions that keep this thing going. Thanks. Hey, if you're enjoying the content here at Dennis Sperling Unfiltered, make sure you support it by sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And also, hit that little notification bell in the corner so that you'll get notice of each and every one of our live feeds. The only time black men are allowed to speak is when it benefits others. So hey, this is your opportunity to speak. I want to hear from you. And if you want to make this voice louder and clearer, then what you need to do is contribute to the Cash App, the PayPal, and the Super Chat. I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for your contributions. I appreciate it. Let's keep it going. Donate to the Super Chat. Donate to the PayPal. Donate to the Cash App. It's your contributions and your donations that'll cause for this platform to grow. Let our voice be the preeminent voice in Black America.